two legendary artists, Mr. Arthur Adams and Mr. Ron Lim here.
Yay!
So we'll open it up to questions here if you guys have any, but I just added a couple myself.
What time are we going home? Are you driving me
I
home?
am, yes, I am driving you home, Mr. Adams, sir.
Thank you, Ted.
So, coming up in industry, who are your influences? I'll start with Arthur and we'll go to Ron. Who do you look up to as an artist? Whose art influenced you?
So, when I started, I wanted to be Frazetta,
Sure.
which a lot of people did. Turns out there already was a Frazetta. Quite irritating.
Yeah.
But no, I found out that Frazetta was like, genius. And I could not, as much as I tried to draw as well as he, I just couldn't grasp it. But then I discovered people like Jack Kirby and others who drew in a way I could understand a little bit.
Sure.
And
Still
through them,
genius, just.
still genius, but a different kind of genius. Like Frazetta would draw a figure, and it was like the whole figure. He knew where everything went. I don't know how he knew, but he knew like all of it perfectly. Kirby, especially as a kid, because Kirby would draw in chunks. He would draw like, okay, here's a forearm and a hand, and then there's a shoulder, and they were just like kind of all put together. But they were like, you could almost imagine it was like those paper kind of dolls with like the joints in them that were like, the swingy things. There's kind of a sense of that kind of anatomy to it. And I can understand that. And through people like him, I discovered Barry Smith, and after finding Barry Smith and people like Bernie Wright, and so those were all people that I liked very much. The people who were mostly my influences to cut to that are Walter Simonson and Barry Smith and Michael Golden. And I'd loved comics since I was a kid, but I thought I'd probably be involved in either science illustration or in movie production, like designing stuff, or even like sculpting, because I like all that sort of stuff, doing special effects kind of stuff. But then I discovered Michael Golden drawing the Micronauts, and I was like, oh, well, I'm going to draw comics, because that's the greatest stuff. And
And
unfortunately,
Micronauts' work is some of the first stuff that I consciously thought that wasn't Donald Duck.
No,
something like
and
that.
it's the weirdest thing, because it's like his first issue, like between issues 1 and 5 or 6, maybe even 4, his drawing style radically changes, like radically. Like there's could be 2 different guys, but somehow the first one brought me into it, and I stuck throughout all of it. And like I never tried to draw like the early Michael Golden, but I did try to draw like Michael Golden like after like 5 or 6, which were a little more Kirby influenced.
Well, and to sort of circle back to that, I mean, people were saying sort of the same thing about your long shot, where they could see your evolution just in that six character.
I don't think it was quite. I mean, there was definitely a learning curve, but I don't know if there was an actual stylistic change. I was still drawing too much. I was just drawing too much better, right? But I mean, Golden's like style completely changed.
Yeah,
it was like a totally different looking thing.
And so, Ron, what about you? How about influences on you? Who did you love?
Probably a lot of the same guys.
Sure. That might not be
Pretty standard issue.
Yeah. So,
Can you guys hear him okay?
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, I mean, same initial guys, but I mean, when I started kind of doing the comic thing, I liked George Perez,
Sure.
John Byrne, and Jim Starlin.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I always read their stuff, whatever it was. So yeah.
And
Oh, yeah, Starlin was always reliably fun stuff.
Yeah.
so, everyone has something they don't like to draw. Some people don't like to draw feet. Some people don't like to draw architecture. Is there anything in particular, Ron, that you're like, if I don't need to ever do this again, you're okay?
I guess just like overly detailed cityscape kind of thing.
Sure.
A
A lot of straight lines.
You're sensible.
So yeah, I mean,
You actually want to make a living.
yeah. So I love drawing the figure, living things,
Sure.
I like the action stuff, So.
How about for you, Arthur?
I don't like drawing guns because they never look right when I draw them in comics. Because comics are, especially the way I like comics, I want them to be overstated. If you draw a gun realistically, it doesn't really look like much. I mean, like the barrel is not really much bigger than your finger, right?
Right,
yeah.
If you're holding up something, like your fist, I think is more interesting than the gun because that's you're holding that, and then there's like a little pencil sticking off the edge.
Right.
And I don't find that interesting. they don't look powerful for the amount of damage they do in the story, generally. So that would be the one thing I don't like to draw. I can draw them, I just don't like drawing them. I can never get the size right. I always want to overdraw them if I'm going to draw a character with a gun. I'd rather make up a gun so it can be look like some big ridiculous
Futuristic
thing.
laser.
Not even I mean futuristic in that it's nonsense.
Right.
But yeah.
What do you love to draw more than anything?
Oh gosh, I can't say there's something I love more than other. They're all kind of a pain. At least I find a way to make it all a pain.
Yeah.
But if I can draw the Thing or the Hulk or monsters, I'm pretty happy.
Okay. As you're drawing.
As I'm drawing a monster right now. Well, it's one of those things. As you're drawing a monster, if you draw it wrong, like I'll feel bad about it, but everyone else will go, "Wow, that monster's really great."
Yeah.
But if you're trying to draw like a really pretty girl or a really handsome guy, if you draw that wrong, you go, "That's not that good."
Sure. And Ron, how about you? Is there anything in particular that you prefer to draw over anything else?
I mean, I also like drawing monsters, but the Thing, it's funny you mentioned the Thing because I love the Thing too.
Sure.
But I like drawing like fight scenes in comics. I used to like doing the choreography of the fight scene,
Right.
which they don't do as much today. Back in the day, we'd have pages to do action scenes. Now it's more dialogue heavy, more.
Part of the problem with comics being directed more towards an older audience.
Yes, that's true too.
Stupid old people ruining everything.
Shaking my fist at myself.
So yeah, that's
So what does a typical day look like for you? What you wake up, you walk into the studio, or are you? What does a day look like for you when Ron has a deadline?
I learned something. Let's hear
that's
it.
not pretty.
Oh, you're next.
Oh no, I'm hoping I can absorb some useful knowledge.
Yeah.
No, I work mainly at night, and so I would
So his morning looks like nothing.
So
It's
you're
like
sleep.
the inside of my eyelids. But then then I get up. Generally, I would
day.
do.
So I know plenty of artists who they sleep until noon and then they get up and they kind of have their morning routine in the afternoon and
That's
work
it.
until 3 or 4 in the morning.
Yeah, that's it. That's literally it. Yeah.
And do you force yourself to work? I mean, I know there's plenty of writers, for example, who are like, I don't care if I write nonsense, but I'm going to be in front of a typewriter or a keyboard or whatever for 4 hours every day.
Right. No, I mean, it's usually work, right? I usually have
Sure.
deadlines, so I mean, I'm always working towards that, basically.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm usually at my table at 9
AM or PM?
a.m.
Okay, because both are reasonable.
And then I'll generally work till about midnight. So that means, it takes a break for lunch,
Yeah,
spend a little
yeah.
time with family. So there's breaks. It's not like
Yeah.
9 o'clock to midnight, like straight. There's lots of breaks. So I get to my table at 9 and I watch pornography until about 9.
Okay,
And
we're
I
age
work like
appropriate.
3
We're good.
hours.
As I scan the room for.
I check first. I don't really do that. Mostly.
Do you folks have questions? I mean, we've got two living legends here, not to boost their egos, but I mean, these guys they've been working for, I don't know, 30 years?
I've been working
40?
since, I don't know, together.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know. We're, I think probably together, probably close to 70 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
easily, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Which is weird because I'm like 15 years old.
prematurely bald, I get it. I'm right there with you.
Bella.
So, Ron, I'm going to just ask because it's my favorite, probably just series of books, is your work on Infinity.
Oh, yeah.
Either Gauntlet, Wars, you name it.
Infinity.
Is the Infinity,
All that
the
infinity
infinite Infinity. You got to work, I mean, you mentioned George Perez.
Yeah.
You got to do some work with him.
Yeah.
What was, I mean, I kind of want to be like that. It was cool, right? But, I
That's
mean,
all right. It probably was cool.
I'm sure
I
it
love
was.
it. I love
George
it.
is a sweet guy.
But George is a sweet guy.
But I did not like to follow him.
No,
was
there's
the
that.
part.
Sure.
Yeah,
There's
that was
that.
the freaky.
Yeah.
But the only thing was I'd already been doing the surf that led into all that stuff. So
Exactly.
I knew all the characters and everything already. So in a way, I was able to just jump right in. But but it was still freaky coming in after George.
Right.
I mean, he's a hero of mine, So it's like.
I think anybody in the room, any artist would say that he's an influence in one way or another.
Yeah.
Um, Is there a particular writer that you feel you jive with better than others?
Stark. I worked with him the most.
Sure.
All the stuff, yeah. So.
Did you ever work with Englehart on
I
Surfer?
did. Well, Englehart was first.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Totally different style, but I
yeah.
love him too. Yeah. You work more Marvel style, right? So it's
Yeah,
like-
I prefer more Marvel style myself.
Yeah.
It almost never happens.
Yeah, it's never.
So that leads to a question, what is the Marvel style?
All right, I'll go for it. Marvel style is, it varied from writer to writer. Some were a little more detailed than others, but generally was page 1, this happens, page 2, this happens, pages 3 through 7 is a fight scene, and so forth.
So
And
you really sort of co-authoring, they were giving you...
Totally, and again, it depends on the writer. There are some writers that would give you a very short paragraph saying this is what happens on this page. Like Claremont would write pages about what happens on a variety of pages, but not necessarily very specifically. It's just like this happens, but I need these things to happen during the course of these 4 pages.
And there'd be no dialogue, right?
And there'd be no dialogue.
Yeah.
They'd either be just indications of dialogue, as he would say himself. This is just to remind myself later that this is what I'm thinking, but there would often not be
So we
dialogue.
knew what they said.
Yeah, often not. Although one of my favorite ones for Claremont was that I did one that was supposed to be kind of a funny one. And Chris, and I remind him every time I see him. Unfortunately, he had a brain injury, so he doesn't remember this all the time. But he wrote on the script, Arthur, if you could write dialogue on this story, that would be helpful because I'm not funny.
Really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Was there a
I remind him he's not funny all the time. He's not.
Is there a particular writer that you like to work with more than any other?
Well, I like working with Chris. I really like working with Walter Simonson. I've not really worked with a whole lot of writers. I accidentally worked with, I'm blanking on his name now. He's very good. He works a lot at DC on Superman. Grant Morrison.
Oh, Grant Morrison.
Yeah. He ghosted a Mark Miller story that I was doing.
Really?
Yeah, and I had no idea because Mark was sick at the time. So Grant Morrison wrote it, and I had no idea. So I was like, hey, Grant, we should work together. And he was like, we have.
We did.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So, guys, gals, friends, questions?
What do you guys think? What do you guys think of Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame?
I liked it fine. I think that the thing that I would have done if I was thanks, so that'll I won't get no one cares.
They made their billions.
I wish the one thing I would change, the one thing is that when Tony Stark has the Infinity thing and he's getting all jacked up, as they set up so brilliantly in Guardians of the Galaxy, he should be like all messed up, and then Thor should put his hand on his shoulder, Captain America put his hand on his shoulder, have all the Avengers do the Infinity thing.
Cool.
So he can still die, but he's not, although I still wouldn't have killed him.
Right.
And also they should have made the Hulk turn back and left.
Yes.
I know.
Yeah,
Even
Hulk
Bruce
versus
Ferrigno
Thanos,
hates
right?
that Hulk.
Huh? Yeah, Hulk should have had to go with things.
Yeah,
It's not
So Ron, as someone who's, it's in your DNA basically at this point, you know, the Gauntlet and the Infinity. How did you feel that story went?
You know, I loved it. I mean, the first movie was more along the line of what we did, you know, but that second movie just diverged totally into a different story. But, you know, for me, I liked it because it was a new story for me to see, to watch, you know, because if it was the same story, you know, I know everything about it. So that was cool, but yeah, I love what they did. Yeah.
We got a question over here.
When you're working, like, you know, basically when you're on a deadline and whatnot, like, how do you deal with, I don't know if you guys experience, like, diminishing returns in terms of, like, when you're putting in, like, long hours, or, like, if you experience, like, diminishing returns in terms of, like, the quality of, work that you're able to generate, like, over, like, long periods of time. Like, how do you avoid that, or, like,
Did you guys catch the, so his question was, and I'll paraphrase, when you're working and drawing for hour after hour, how do you deal with potential
As
diminishing
you inevitably
returns,
get older and
fatigue?
you're clearly starting to suck,
I mean, that was the subtext, yeah.
you bring yourself to the table every day. Fortunately, mortgages are in place,
How do you deal with?
so you gotta pay your mortgage.
Yeah. That's like, that's a,
That's the main thing, is like, oh, I got bills, so I'm gonna be sitting down and drawing, and I've never been happy with my work, so if there's diminishing returns, I've not noticed.
Well, and I think you mentioned also that you tend to take breaks, right? You're not at the
That's the
table
thing, yeah, definitely
from,
breaks, for
from
sure, yeah.
10 a.m. until midnight
Yeah.
straight. You're
Just-
getting up, you're walking
just long
around.
breaks,
you're-
yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions? In the back.
For Infinity Gauntlet, how did you and Joe, or this I guess is more for Ron, how did you and George kind of hand off the gun?
Literally just you start with this page because he decided to stop doing it, and so because he was doing Wonder Woman I think at the same time, and so
Oh my God.
yeah, so he was writing and drawing that too, so
Oh my
he just couldn't take he's just too much, so he quit that book, and so my editor Craig, who worked with Surfer for years, just asked me, would you want to take over it? So I said yeah. So that's basically
Yeah.
There's no. I was up to George. So, yeah.
So you're following George Perez.
Yeah.
Dot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean,
That was fun.
it did great, right? It
No,
did
yeah,
well.
yeah.
It's
I imagine it was selling
on-
reasonably well at
Yeah,
the time, so
yeah.
it was like probably not a big sell.
Yeah. So I mean, I think people also were used to me working on Surfer.
Right.
So it's,
Yeah.
in a way, kind of like.
No, that's certainly how I saw it when you were doing it. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
A logical transition.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Next, I think we've got a question for one, maybe two more questions. We've got a question for one or two more questions. I need caffeine. Yes.
So we know you got to pay the bills, but
Yes.
as people who are doing that one of the things that you love to do,
Yeah.
how do you keep it interesting for yourself?
Well, again, I'm an idiot. I didn't really cover that. I'm an idiot, so it doesn't take much to entertain me. There's that. I don't know. I mean, it's just a few years ago when my daughter, I'm old dad, so my daughter's only 9 now. But when she was 2, we got a call, and to make this really long, boring story much shorter, they were calling to talk to me about retiring, and I just started laughing because I've been drawing since I was 3 years old. Like, what am I going to retire from? I've never had a real job.
That's all you know.
Yeah, this is what I do. I'm sitting at home working in my pajamas.
Yeah.
And, going outside and sitting on the deck to get a little sun every once in a while. But it's what I always wanted to do. So there's never been a problem keeping going.
Yeah. Same here. I mean,
Yeah.
never lost. I mean, we
Yeah.
love what we're doing. Something it doesn't get old.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
No, and also I mean, probably mostly true for you. I'm basically working alone.
Yeah.
And so fortunately, when I'm sitting at my table, I'm still skinny and fit, and have good vision and a full head of hair. And it's only when I get up or come to something like this I realize, crap, everything hurts.
Not 23 years old.
Yeah.
100% what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, one more question. Go ahead.
You look back at your body, which work are you proudest of?
Proudest of.
The question was for those of you who couldn't hear because we're getting a little background noise. So, one more time, it was basically looking over your entire career, what piece of work or what are you the most proud of?
I'm not particularly proud of anything. I'm just happy that I've been doing it for a while. Almost everything I look at, after it's done, I go, I wish I'd done this or that.
Yeah.
It would be better if I'd done.
Yeah.
I was all really excited to do I just did 8 connecting Spider-Man covers, and I was really keen on doing that. And I sat down to do it, and I was like, when it was done, I was like, shit, I could have done that better. Been working on this for 2 months. That could have gone better. Oh well. Have to do it again now.
I think that's an indicator of someone who's got pride in their craft, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Good.
you're never going to be completely satisfied.
Never,
because
never.
you're always
No.
like,
You've gotta keep
even
trying.
This line's too heavy, or I
Yeah.
could have done a little
yeah,
more
for
here,
sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
a little more Kirby crackle over in this
Yeah,
corner,
yeah.
or whatever, right? So I have one last question. What do you tell? My daughter's 15 and she loves to draw. She loves to paint. What skills if she wants to get into the business? I would be disappointed because I know enough artists to know that. Sorry.
That took a dark turn.
Generally not very good people.
But
Not to be trusted.
present company excluded. What advice do you give to people when they come up and say, I want to get into the business? What do I need to learn? What do I need to know? What's going to help them excel
there's so many different styles of doing comics and styles that are relatively successful. That, I mean, what drawing style do you tell someone to draw? They pretty much draw what you like, and if you find odd, you find audience there's people I like that I would never thought I would like Raphael Grandpa.
Oh yeah,
like
exactly.
that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's really
that's
cool, but I would,
stuff.
if someone brought me that a few years ago, I would go, you're never going to work. Your stuff is too weird looking.
Yeah.
And there's been plenty of people that have been successful that I don't know why they're successful. It's not to my taste. But that's okay. There's plenty of stuff to be done. Exactly. So stylistically, there's nothing I really suggest. I would probably suggest if someone's just starting, if they're talking about writing and drawing comics, I tell them to write comics because you make more money and do less work.
Exactly. They can do a lot more issues than we can.
They can do more work, yeah. So they can make more money with, exactly. They can write 3 or 4 books a month, and there's no way.
Squeeze one out.
There's no way to do other things.
So, where can people find you? Are you online? Are you on the Instagram?
Oh, I'm on the
Facebook, or
Instagram. I'm on the Instagram at Arthur Adams Art.
I just have a Facebook page.
Okay.
Never checked, but yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Ruby.
Now, you can actually find them here today at the show, just
Right outside the door.
on the
Literally outside the door, yeah.
Keeping the pins warm occasionally.
Trying, yeah, I'm trying.
Well, thanks, man.
Thanks, you guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.
It was a pleasure.
What time are we going on?
Show's over 5, so like.
Yeah.
We drove ourselves.
5:10? Oh, nice.
Are you, Tony?
No, yeah, 5:10 is good.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.